Have you been able to kind of pinpoint how it started for him, as well as in maybe his memoir? Does he mention things like post-traumatic stress or combat, or what leads a man? You said he has a troubled path. Got it. What leads a man to be a Delta Force operator, the highest of the highest, to go ahead and now risk everything and just kind of venture down a new path?
Repeated immersion and extreme violence. 14 deployments. Starting off when he's a 20-year-old, I read all about his Iraq deployment. His Iraq deployment in 04, 05 was extremely violent. He was in Mosul and Tal Afar.
Those are good years.
Yeah, for sure. He saw a lot of his buddies die. It was very, very kinetic. And, he says that he was it's interesting. He says that he has a human reaction to seeing his friends killed. But he said that he was like one of the least messed up of the other guys in the unit. He said, like, I kind of took it in stride, he was sad about it. He cried, but it really didn't mess with him afterwards. And that kind of psychological makeup is ideal for someone who goes up into the special forces and the Delta Force.
All right. So I can speak to this personally, guys, because in 2003, I witnessed my first, big mass casualty event, right? We were conducting route clearance on an M113 and the IED blew up and half of my squad was killed, right? My vehicle went on top of it. The track behind me got hit, 500 or so pounds. IED blew off and everybody in that vehicle was killed. The aftermath, right? Because of course we have to cordon the area. We have to pull security. We have to essentially start recovering the bodies until QRF arrives and released us, right? And I remember that specific day, guys, going around and looking at the scene and seeing essentially body parts, right? Because you figure 500-pound bomb hits from underneath the vehicle. There wasn't much left. And I remember seeing, guys that were in my squads, friends. I remember seeing their bodies, head missing, parts just scattered all over them, just pieces of flesh. And I remember going back to the barracks, like he said in this video, being sad. However, I kind of chopped it up to, this is war. This is just part of it. And it was almost like I was emotionally removed from all of that, right? And to his point, it's the perfect recipe for guys that could go on and serve in special operation, which is exactly what I did, right? I, did one more deployment, 15 months to Iraq, experienced more of the same. And I just became callous to it, right? To where I was able to go to selection and do all the stuff that I went on to do later on in life. But as he's going to continue on speaking about here, it's not normal, guys. You have to figure out a way to get help so you don't become essentially like Billy Levine. I was fortunate enough to get some help throughout my military career that helped me get over that, but not a lot of people are as fortunate. Let's keep listening.
If you can handle seeing people get killed, if you can handle your buddy getting killed without being like a total psychopath at the same time. So he had that psychology, just a hard, hard-minded type of guy. But there's only so much that a person can bear, because he went on to, by his own account, he'd been in hundreds of gunfights. In Delta, he had been involved in the assassination program in Afghanistan and in Iraq and in Syria. He had killed countless people in close range. He describes many, many gruesome gunfights. He talks about executing unarmed prisoners. He talks about watching people burn to death right in front of him. And over time, you start to see in his memoir him developing, although he can handle this and he can take this and he doesn't think he's fucked up, you can see him getting more and more angry and paranoid. And his relationship with his wife really suffered. He's angry at her all the time. He's angry at his mom. He's angry at his commander. And he doesn't realize what's happening to him inside, that all this violence is kind of mounting, is eating him up inside. And he's lashing out at the world, and it's causing him more and more problems. And, you saw that most clearly in 2018, a case I keep mentioning, when he went to Disney World or Disneyland, whichever one is in Orlando.
Now, just think about everything that he just said, guys, just repeated trauma on your psyche. And keep in mind, this war was 20 years, guys, 20 years of running and gunning at the highest level. And this guy's case, he was a regular dude, then he became a Green Beret, and then he went Delta Force. Just the amount of trauma that you go through, not only in training, but also being deployed down range and just seeing just the worst of humanity over and over and over again. And on top of that, you got drug abuse, and there's no help at all. Well, granted, there's help, but he wasn't getting it, right? Just imagine what the mindset is slowly starting to become. Just imagine what you're slowly becoming. I can only imagine what this dude was going through. And the messed up thing, guys, is this is not an isolated event. And I want to make sure that young men watching this that are all going to gravitate towards special forces, I want you guys to understand this is what you have to look forward to, right? This is what you're signing up for. You have to be well known. You have to be well educated in what you're trying to do, because at the end of the day, guys, it doesn't get any easier. This is what the nation needs. However, it's up to you to make sure that you do all the work in between to make sure you keep your mental state where it needs to be. Because if you don't, you can find yourself like a Bill Levine, or like all the countless folks that has committed suicide and taken their lives. This isn't an isolated event. What he's talking about right now, guys, that's the norm, minus the drug part. But all the training, all the deployment, all the, shooting people at close range, seeing buddies burn, seeing burned bodies, that's the norm. I experienced all of that while I was in. That's the norm, guys. There's nothing about what he's saying that is not common within the world of special operations. Nothing whatsoever, right? Let's keep listening.
His buddy, and then ends up just shooting the guy right in front of his daughter because he's so annoyed. This guy was wilding out. He had taken MDMA and coke and bath salts. This dude had taken bath salts. Mark Leshiker was his name, his best friend, and was acting crazy, was acting paranoid, was causing problems, and was scaring the girls. And so to deal with this problem, at a certain point, Levine just snapped and pulled out his gun and just triple tapped the guy, and then put one in the back of his head as he was falling down to the ground. Just pure muscle memory. And, so that's how he came to be, involved in this world of drug trafficking after he had just completely lost it. Because, although they covered up that murder and made him look like it was self-defense, inside himself, he couldn't handle it because he knew that he had killed his best friend. He lost custody.
Did he write about that? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Now, again, keep in mind, guys, there's only so much your brain can handle. There's only so much a human being can handle. Without getting help, without unpackaging everything that you're going through, you're going to find ways to essentially make yourself feel good about who you are. And that typically comes in the form of alcohol abuse, drug abuse. And eventually, when nothing works, because none of that stuff works, they're all temporary fix, you end up taking your own life, right? The only thing that I've found that helps is actually sitting down with somebody and unpacking everything that you got going on. That's the only way, based on my experience, that I've seen guys actually come out of this hole, come out of this rot. However, for the longest time there, especially while I was in running and gunning, going to a psych office and actually sitting down and speaking with somebody was something that was frowned upon. It was seen as being weak, right? It was not a warriorly thing to do. So guess what? Guys went through 20 plus years of just seeing the worst things possible, and they were left to figure out how to deal with it, right? Because, got it. We have the programs, right? After every deployment, we'll go through a cycle of, hey, you're supposed to go get all your financial stuff checked, get all your physicals, speak with the psych. Guys, nobody ever did that crap. No one ever did it, right? Because it wasn't encouraged. It was seen as being weak. And on top of that, command finds out that you're speaking with the psych or you got mental problem, more than likely you're going to lose your spot on a team, a spot on a establishment that you fought so hard to get, right? Your little small, tight-knit community. Now you're mentally unstable because you're dealing with PTSD. Ooh, guys, no one ever, since I was in, at least based on what I saw, went and actually got help from the psych. All the cases that I've experienced has always been when it was too late. And guys were command directed to go get the help that they needed, right? And guys, if that's not the case, if you have a different experience, let me know, right? Share it in the comment section. But very interesting podcast, very interesting conversation being had. And like I said, guys, I will link this in the description box so you guys can go check it out. Because again, conversations like these are important because of several different things. In my opinion, number one is awareness, right? Being aware of what you're getting yourself into as a young man. Being aware that, hey, the path that you're traveling, this is where you're at right now, point A, knowing that by the time you get to Z, you're going to become a completely different person based on everything that you're going to experience in between. You have to be made aware of that, guys. There is going to be PTSD. There is going to be wear and tear on your body. There might be a strong possibility of drug abuse. There might be a strong possibility of alcohol abuse, right? Because you're going to try to find ways to cope with all the things that you're going to experience. And those things are going to be loss of your buddies, you getting injured, etc., etc. You have to know what you're trying to get yourself into. You have to know what all it entails, because what you don't want is to just show up and now you're surprised and you don't know how to deal with it. So you grab a bottle, you grab a line of Coke, right? That's going to lead to you destroying your lives, right? So that's one reason why a conversation like these are so important. Another reason why I support these type of conversations is because, guys, it lets leaders know, hey, this is going on. It lets the policymakers know this is the type of stuff that Green Berets, Delta Force operators, Rangers, whoever, this is what they often become. This is the type of stuff that they deal with. Some prevail, some aren't so lucky, right? But this is the cost. This is the price that these guys pay. Guys, like I said, I will link this in the description box below. You guys go check it out, right?